Welcome to another episode of the InLove with Words podcast, where we work to eliminate the negative stereotypes that are commonly associated with hip-hop while acknowledging the value and impact its lyrics have had on society. I am your host, Chris D. I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode. If y'all are return listeners, I definitely appreciate y'all for tuning back in. For those of y'all who this is your first time hopping onto this podcast, I definitely appreciate you. It does not go unnoticed. I hope that we deliver something. I hope that I deliver something today that can make you want to come back and be one of those repeat listeners. So today we are touching on a topic that is very commonplace, especially in today's society. But I also feel like it is something that everyone in life experiences at some point in their life, at different levels. Nobody experiences it the same. Everybody has their own individual encounter with it. And that topic is the topic of depression. As you know, we constantly try to, at this podcast, break down, or not even break down, make those connections that hip-hop has with what's going on in the mind, what's going on with the people and the artists who created these songs that makes it speak out and relate so much to the world to make hip-hop, the number one genre that we got. I don't know if that's fact, but that's what it feels like. So, the song that we are going over today, it comes from an artist that, man, I started listening to this guy around 2011, maybe 2012, heavy on the mixtapes when he was putting out mixtape after mixtape, and every single one, man, sounded like a full-blown album. I didn't even realize it was a mixtape, but this guy's lyrics have always been fun, upbeat, thoughtful. It's just a vibe, man. It's always a vibe listening to this guy. The name of the song that we are bringing to you today is Small Worlds. It comes off of the second to last album from this artist. Like I said, he has made a huge impact on just reviving my spirit and energy towards music, bringing that fun back, bringing that party, introspective type of lyrics. And man, I love this. I love this guy's words. The world knows him. Well, not the world. The government, his birth certificate, knows him as Malcolm James McCormick. But we in the hip hop world, we in the as music listeners and lovers, we know him as the late great Mac Miller. So this comes off of, like I said, his second to last album. I know he put out one album after his death. He passed away on September 7th, 2018, which is ironically crazy. Like a little bit over a month after he dropped the album where Small Worlds appeared on, which is his album Swimming. It was his album Swimming. And just before going into the song, this entire album, it's a few artists out there that when I hear their last album before their death, and I'm speaking hip hop that I can think of right now that I can make this connection to. But there's so many artists that, there are a few artists where I feel like in those lyrics, in that song, when they was in that studio recording them final songs, which at the time they didn't know they were going to be their final songs, but it just felt like it sounds like a release, like a story, like a farewell, like there was something that he noticed in the air that made him put the songs that was on this album, Swimming. And it's a beautiful album. I don't know if it ever got nominated for any awards or where it ranked on Billboard and all that, man. But for me, This was a beautiful, well put together album that carried melody, carried tune, carried some of his deepest thoughts that could definitely relate with others out there who are troubled and going through certain things. But the song today, Small Worlds, there are certain points in it where it feels like he is speaking to, I can't say his depression because I don't know him, didn't know him, but I feel like it is speaking to how we experience depression in the world, and especially as you get higher up in your level of success and your level of reach, and how depression can impact you. So when we look at the word depression, let's tap into real quick before we go into these bars that kind of expand on this mindset, on this topic, on this word. When we look at the word depression and we look at the definition of what depression, because depression has become so commonplace nowadays that everybody says, I'm depressed, or for whatever reason. It could be your favorite ice cream shop ran out of vanilla or Rocky Road or whatever it is that you eat, and you instantly tag depression onto that. Or you don't get to watch your favorite show 2 days in a row because you weren't able to binge watch, and you label that depression. Some people, go that far. So I think depression has, in recent years, become a buzzword that everybody seems to use to kind of describe a down feeling. But when we really go into what is depression, what does it mean, I think that we have to look at the true definition of what depression is. So according to the Mayo Clinic, depression is a mood disorder that causes persistent feelings of sadness and a loss of interest. And I think the key, because I think we all at some points go through, we sit in a funk or a slump or whatever, and we lose interest in it, or we get in a mood. But I think the main thing that sticks out with actually classifying that feeling as depression is one key word in that definition, and that word is persistent. Like, it is ongoing. There is no stopping it. You could be in the happiest environment. You could be sitting in the middle of Disneyland or Disney World with your favorite ice cream, with your family, with your kids, pocket full of money, everything going right, fast express to the front of the lines. But at every moment that you turn, you can't do anything but drudge up terrible thoughts. Whether there's something that might be lingering from the past, something that you haven't dealt with, whatever it is, you cannot get over, you cannot get past those negative thoughts in order to see all of the good and be grateful for everything that's going on around you. So that's the main thing that sticks out for me when we're looking at the definition of depression. It is persistent feelings of loss and sadness. Like, you cannot stop this and shake this. So it's a few bars that are in this song that truly kind of tap into where his mind was at in this song. And really, if you go back and listen to the entire album, you'll kind of see this theme of these waves of emotions that he was going through at the time, or whenever he wrote it. So we're going to go into a few of the bars, and then as we go through these bars, we're going to sit down and just kind of see how we can connect it to our topic today, and see how it kind of expands on what depression really means. So one of the first bars that he comes up with was, "You never told me being rich was so lonely. Nobody know me. Oh well. Hard to complain from this 5-star hotel. I'm always in a rush. I've been thinking too much, but keep it on the hush. No one need to know, just us." So man, when that first little line where he says, "You never told me being rich was so lonely," and I think when I heard that, it stood out to me because, we always talk about, are you rich at heart? Are you rich in money? Are you rich financially? What do you, how do people perceive and look at what richness is? And what I saw, especially as he continued on talking about, it's hard to complain for this 5-star hotel, but he was looking at richness from a value of material things, a value of what he had. And I think that's something we all strive for, is to obtain certain things, obtain a certain level of success where we can get the house that we want, the car that we want, the clothes that we want. We can go out and eat in the restaurants that we want, and we look at that as being rich. But the higher and higher you get up, it seems like, because you're moving to new levels, at all times, and as you climb your ladder of success, the less people at the previous level are going to be around you at your new level, just because everybody does not move at the same wavelength as you do. Y'all might be on the same goals, y'all might be on the same mission and trajectory, but everybody does not hit their goals at the same time, unless you're, working as a team to get one goal done. But if you're working on your individual goals, it's going to be moments where you break free from the pack. You break free from the old group that you were with. And that's what I took from this very first line when he said, whoever he was talking to, you never told me being rich was so lonely. Nobody know me. Oh, well, it's like I got all these people around me. I got everybody, praising me and doing, being in my circle and just laughing and joking like everything is all good, but they don't even really know who I am, who the person inside of me is. But it's hard to complain from this 5-star hotel, and I think that's something that society teaches us to do, is to, oh, you have X, Y, and Z, or you possess all of these things. So what you complaining about? What you sad about? What's eating at you when you got unlimited American Express card or whatever, and you doing real well for yourself? And this is not only from the aspect of being an entertainer. I'm talking about somebody who may have finally moved up to a manager position at their job, or started their own business, and it's starting to go and flow very well. So people, I think as a society, I don't want to say people, but just as the mindset of society is that the more you have, the less you should be sad about, the less you should complain about. But you strip everything away, at the end of the day, there are basic needs that must be met in order for a human to survive. They have to feel that sense of belonging. They have to get their essential needs taken care of. And I don't care how much money you have, if those things are not being met, you're not going to find joy. You'll find a lot of things that you can buy and purchase that can seem like they're filling that void, that can make you temporarily happy, but when it comes to ultimate peace that you can walk around, and happiness that you can walk around with all day, that doesn't come from money. That comes from being genuine with yourself. That comes from having genuine people around you. That comes from living in your own lane. And what I mean by that is not being pressured to do something against your values just because that's what society tells you to do, is do this because that's the trend, that's the thing to do, that's what everybody knows and looks at right now. So after he was told not to complain from his 5-star hotel, Mac Miller goes on to say, I'm always in a rush, I've been thinking too much, but keep it on the hush, and no one needs to know, just us. And that's another jab at our as people, our unwillingness to be vulnerable. And granted, you're not supposed to be vulnerable. I'm jumping that word up. Vulnerable to everyone, because some people do seek out your vulnerability, and they use that as something that they can uplift themselves on and get themselves to another level on, as a stepping stone per se. But you have to have someone that can see. You can't just keep all that bottled up inside, all those things, all those insecurities that kind of sit on your shoulders. You can't keep those bottled up inside and not express them to no one. So it's just really tapping into that and being able to understand how your thought process works. So as he goes on in the song, the next two bars, and I'm kind of jumping around the next two sets of bars, man, because they are in the final verse. Where if you once you listen to the song, you'll see at the end he kind of goes into a poetic mode. But in those final lines, there are two stanzas that I took from that, and the first one goes, 9 times out of 10 I get it wrong. That's why I wrote this song. I tell myself to hold on. I can feel my fingers slipping in the motherfucking instant I'll be gone. And then a little bit later he goes on to say, oh, I've been a fool, but it's cool. That's what human beings do. Keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Guess there was a time when my mind was consumed, but the sun coming out now, clouds starting to move. So I look at those two lines, and it's like that's himself looking at the mistakes he's made. And man, we make mistakes. That's just what we do. We are not perfect. Humans, we are not perfect. We are not going to get it right every time. And like he says, 9 times out of 10, he gets it wrong. That's usually how it goes. You know, you make mistake after mistake as you're trying to perfect something, as you're trying to move to a new level, because a lot of the times you're moving into what's unknown. So you're not going to know the right move to make. And he admits it. And writing this song was his outlet to say, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm going to push forward to the next level. And it feels like there's no hope. There's no reason to move forward. There's no reason to keep going and push. But then he bounces back. He said, oh, I've been a fool, but it's cool. That's what human beings do, and that is so right. That is what we do. Like I said, we make mistakes. We're not perfect. And he reminds you to keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Guess there was a time when my mind was consumed, but the sun coming out now and clouds starting to move. So never give up on yourself. That's what I took from that. Never give up to yourself. Never give up on what you're trying to do, what your goal is, what your dream is. Keep pushing forward. Keep doing what you need to do. Keep trying to work to make it happen. Keep your eyes to the sky. Never glued to your shoes. You know, to keep looking up. Keep your head looking forward. Don't look down. Don't look depressed. Don't look defeated. Body language is everything. You know, you carry and you exude what you want to give back. So if you're looking down and looking sad, shoulder slumped all the time, you're going to get that energy back. But if you find a way to walk in the room and no matter what is going on, you keep your head held high, your shoulders high, your voice commanding and assertive, things will work out. Things will work out. And people will see that you have faith in yourself, which will allow them to put faith in you and help you along this journey. So try not to, as Mac Miller said, try not to let your mind be overly consumed with everything that goes on. Yeah, bad things are going to happen. That's just life. There's not a day, week, month, or year that anyone on this planet is going to walk by and something bad is not going to happen to them. The question is, what are you going to do with that bad thing? Are you going to sit in it? Are you going to complain about it all day? Or are you going to use that as a motivating factor to push forward? Or are you going to use it as a lesson learned and knowing what not to do? So now you know, got to get better insight on what to do. How are you gonna experience the bad that happens to you? What are you gonna do? You know, because as he ends the song, well, not ends the song, but as he gives this last bar that we're reviewing today, he said, but the sun's coming out now, clouds starting to move. And one thing I always say to people is that just like the sun, your joy, your happiness, your peace, it does not go anywhere. The sun, I don't care whether it's nightfall, I don't care whether it's raining, snowing outside, what type of weather it is, cloudy day, pretty day, whatever it is, the sun remains. The sun is always there. You will forever see it. This same thing with your joy. Your joy, your peace is always there. Things happen that disrupt it. Things happen that make it look a little skewed, but it is always there. And the second that you can realize how to not get caught up on the clouds, how to be patient through the storm, the quicker you can get back to that peace, the quicker you can get back to that joyful feeling, and understand that the mistakes and the experiences that you have that are negative, they won't stick. They won't move forward with you. They're just a temporary experience that you've encountered and gone through. So as y'all sit back and listen to this song, I encourage you all to really take a dig into what he is saying. And because this song comes off a great album, you don't have to go directly to this song. Listen to the album from start to finish, and I think even with that, you'll feel with what I'm saying as far as his final message to the world. Man, classic album. We're gonna go look up and find out, and y'all do it too. But I'm gonna look up and find out if he was nominated for any Grammys or anything for this, because this was a cold album. This was cold, and 2018 was just a great year for music, in my opinion. 2018 was just a great year for music. So with that being said, I hope this is giving you all a little bit of insight and light on what depression is, how you can recognize some of its signs, because it comes in so many different forms, but also just what you can do in order to move forward, in order to be your best self every day. So with that being said, once again, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the InLove with Words podcast. It has been a pleasure kind of sitting here and delivering my perspectives to you all. If you enjoyed the episode, y'all know what to do. Just drop a comment, drop a like, go ahead and subscribe, whatever platform you're listening on, and take a listen to the song, of course, so y'all can hear it in its full melody and tune, and not me just reading it off the lyrics. Take a real good listen to it. I got the links in the podcast description, the YouTube link, the Spotify link. Put your ears on it and see where it takes your mind. But until the next time, y'all go out there, y'all be yourself, best self, and y'all be easy, y'all be cool. Peace.